All right, welcome everybody to episode 9 of the Raiders Report. This week, I'm joined by our very own Nepean Raider netminder, goalie of the month last February, playing for the Ottawa Junior Senators, Bryan Landsberger. Bryan, welcome, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. So, I guess I'll start with right before we get into your time with the Raiders. I'll start with OGS, Ottawa Junior Senators. You're pretty much on a tear with them last year. I mean, obviously, as I mentioned, goalie of the month and pretty hot going into the playoffs. So I have two questions. The first one, what do you think pushed you to play so well? And must have been pretty frustrating to maybe end the season the way it did.
Yeah. When I got there, Marty, the head coach there now, he made it very clear that this wasn't my job. I hadn't just won it just because he brought me there. I'm sorry.
No worries.
And he pushed me, and the goalie coach there, Steph, really pushed me to perform well, and to really in practice create those habits that create consistent goaltending.
Mm-hmm.
And I started off hot. I won the job, but then again, even after winning the job from the original starter, again, he said, any moment, I can go get a guy if you're not playing well.
Right.
Right. So he really put the pressure on, and, pressure's a privilege. Devin Levy said that.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I think
And
I'm gonna write that one down.
yeah. And so goalie coach pushed me well. I had some consistency problems to start, but then once after Christmas, I think my game kind of came together. And then, like you said, had a really good end of the year. And I was pumped for playoffs. I was nervous, but I was pumped, and that would have been fun. But
Yeah.
hey,
That's the way she goes. Yeah. Man, I remember I never played like obviously pro, but just the feeling of going in any kind of playoff situation is so exciting, and half of that nervousness is just really just excitement.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's tough for sure to miss out on an experience like that. But so yeah, we'll get to the Raiders. Obviously, you're required in the off season from OJS. What was that experience like for you?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I was not happy right away. I was not expecting it at all. It came out of the blue.
Yeah,
And at first, the Raiders in the past, we have not had a good reputation
right.
as a winning hockey team. And going in my last year, I thought that right away, I thought that maybe I didn't like this. But the more I thought about it, the more I got some advice. It was a challenge. It was the ability to not only perform well under a lot of shots, and I'm gonna become a better goalie doing that. But it's
Right.
also a challenge off the ice, where if I can come in and be a leader and really make a difference to change the culture,
Mm-hmm.
and that's been my favorite part about this whole year. It's the best year of hockey because I've been challenged to become a leader
That's awesome.
and try to change the culture that was here, and I've been pushed to do that from everybody, coaching staff, GM, and now, I mean, it's the best best trade
Right.
that happened, like best thing that could have happened in hindsight, even though I was
Right.
mad at the moment. Right now, looking back, I mean, there's nowhere else I'd rather be playing hockey than here right
Yeah.
now. So
That's crazy. Yeah, for sure. Leadership can create new experiences for you and just really, really grow you as a person. So getting put in that position is and I think I'll definitely want to touch on that. Because I spoke with obviously Matt Young, the Nepean Raiders goalie coach, on the first episode actually. Um, and that's what one things he talked about. He talked about how you brought that strong mental game from OJS because they from their mentality, and you kind of brought that into the Nepean Raiders locker room. So that is one thing that he touched on. So that's really interesting that that we bring that up as well. You know, how has it been adjusting to a new team under like COVID? It must be like a different experience. How would you rate that?
I think, I mean, you don't get to go out with the boys on the weekend after a
Exactly.
big win of some, so you don't get that time. But we've done a pretty good job. I think everyone feels a part of the team. I think we've done a really good job of getting everyone everyone knows each other. We just did our rookie draft in February,
Right.
so we have a great group of guys. Nobody's an issue. Everybody likes each other. It's been different for sure. Just less time away from the rink that we get to spend together.
Right.
But at the rink, we have so many good guys and so many guys that know how to bring guys together. So
Yeah.
it's not really been a huge struggle for us.
Can you name a few, maybe some guys that are, I don't want to say the word clowns, but just have a good laugh here and there?
Louis Chabot, I got loves the rink, loves
Oh
the
yeah,
boys. Yeah.
that's awesome.
Oh, yeah, no, he's great. We have so many. I like Conley's a great guy. Conley likes to bring everybody together. He'll look out for the guy who maybe not talk so much, so he'll bring them into the
Oh, that's
conversation.
awesome. Yeah.
Ben with the French guys, he'll get them getting on the conversation as well. And Vollet's loves the boys as well. So good bunch of vets that know how to get the boys together and
Yeah.
have a good time.
That's great, man. Chemistry, that's super key, and it's good to hear that you guys have a pretty solid group. So you guys have been playing development scrimmages, kind of all season long. Was it nice to play a team that isn't called Kempville for once?
Yeah, you hit that on the head there. Kempo was getting. I mean, we started to have their number by the end of that series, that
Right.
8 and 15 game series, whatever. But we got to know those guys a lot, and it started to get chippy. And if there was hitting, yeah, maybe some injuries would have happened. But
Yeah.
it's great, to play OJS from. Sorry.
That's all good, man.
From a competitive standpoint, because they're just much better.
Yeah.
OJS is a team that we really get to test ourselves against the highest level of junior A competition that there is, especially with all their O guys that they brought in.
Right.
So it's been really good. It's really, really good test, and we're coming up to the plate. All games have been close. Haven't won one, but
lots of OTs though.
No, we're right there. We're right there. And maybe not this year we're there. And for me and all the other 20-year-olds, it's all right. But next year and the future of this organization with the young guys we got, and so many good characters, so many good work ethic.
Yeah.
Years to come, it'll be good.
Yeah. Speaking of some younger guys, you work with the other goalies. You got Evan and Shibley. So how have you found working with them?
Awesome. Well, I live with Shibley, so he's actually right here on this wall right here. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we have a good time. Evan was is a great kid. I mean, he's not with us now. I think he stayed in the Maritimes, so I haven't seen him in a while. But yeah, he's going to be good. Connor's going to be a stud. Like Connor's going to. When I look back to what I was doing at 17 in the net, like I was not even anywhere close to where he's at.
Oh boy, yeah.
He's already a really good goalie in this league. You can already tell, and he's only going to get better. So, and off the ice, I mean, I live with the guy, and then the guy's routine and his dedication to being the best hockey player that he can be is, I mean, bar none at 17. So,
good work ethic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he spends his free money on SOAS things to stretch him out. Like it's nuts.
That's awesome. So I wanted to get into, we kind of talked about the mental thing that you brought into the locker room, but when you talk about goalies, one of the first things you bring up is the mental game. And what are some things that you've kind of learned as your time as a goaltender, some tricks about playing that mental game?
Yeah, for sure. Still a work in progress. No, I'm not saying I'm an expert, because if I was an expert, I'd be higher level already. But for me, it's all perspective. And I read a book recently, John Wooden's book on leadership, and he talks about his talks about his players and the attitude and the mindset he wanted to give his players was always, do your best. And I've been taking that in post Christmas, because I have had an issue of being nervous before games, just putting extra pressure that doesn't need to be there.
Right.
But this new approach, and I've had some success. Just do your best, because then there's no added stress. You're
Right.
just doing the best you can.
Yeah.
And if your best, whatever your best is, you can be happy with that. And as long as you're putting in the effort all the time to improve your best, then you should be satisfactory with the result that you give. So that for me right now is where I'm at, and it's working, and practice and in games recently. So if that was, do your best. And
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really interesting because of that mental strength you have, and obviously, yeah, no one's a pro, and that's very fair to say. But having that mentality going into a game to remove that added stress is well, clearly it's working for you. So, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to also talk about, obviously I took a lot of the stuff that Matt told me, and I kind of wanted to chat with you about that. He talked about your size, and most goalies traditionally aren't, 6'6". But he pointed out that, usually goalies with that size have a harder time moving around the crease, but that's not an issue with you. You still have that ability to move even though you have that height. So what kind of advantages do you think your height brings, aside from what I just pointed out?
Well, I think some of the like earlier days of my career, I took my height as I didn't work on other aspects because I had that height, and I kind of got left behind in some areas. So I've been catching up ever since, after realizing that I need all the technique stuff just like the other guys do. But once you get that technique, that height, it helps. Like, you just cover more net. It's just basic. It's simple. And it's a big part. I understand that it's a big part of why I've gotten to where I've done today, because people have taken chances on me because of my height, where necessarily there's probably some other guys that were technically stronger. But once a couple of years ago when I started junior, I realized like I really need to get technical. Since then I've gotten a lot better. But and you're talking about skating. Skating, it's all to my goalie coach back home, Raimondo Goaltending. They do skating since day one, and we still do power skates every Monday, his elite group, and we're all competing to be the fastest guy on the ice, and that's where that skating comes. And I do think of that as a big part of my game.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things that he praised you for. So it's a really good part to have to your game, and then having that added height just makes it any better. Just going back to that mental thing, do you have any like rituals or any preparations that you do before going into a game?
Yeah, for sure. I the night before, I started doing this last year when I was starting to get consistent, and it all just kind of started from then. The night before, I do visualization, so I do like the entire game. I start from when I'm waking up the next morning. I visualize what I'm going to do the entire day, step by step, leading up to the game, and then I go like period by period, shot by shot. I do all the different scenarios, and I try to just, and I don't know the science behind it, but I've been told that it helps the brain remember, and when it comes time to do that in a game, it becomes automatic.
Yeah, visualization, definitely something I've heard about as well. Not that I've been successful at it, but
yeah. So that's I do the night before, and then game day. It's just a normal morning, and then for playing at 7:30, around 3 o'clock, I'll take like a 45-minute nap, and then I started doing this Wim Hof breathing method stuff.
Oh, okay.
Really cool. Yeah, it's like it just adds extra energy, so it's just a lot of breathing constantly.
That's so
cool. With a cold shower, just to get all the muscles and all the like the little molecules in your body like all jittered, fired up. Like I'm so fired up after that shower that I'm
Yeah.
ready to go. And then, once I get to the rink, I'll do some ball training stuff when it's normal year, because right now we only have 20 minutes.
Oh,
So you
right.
can't really get the whole routine in.
Yeah.
But when I had a normal routine, I get my ball training, I get my stretching, I play sewer. I'm not super like, I don't like to go sit in the corner and
Okay.
not talk to
Yeah.
anybody. I'll leave probably about 20 minutes for myself, and the rest of the time I'll be focused, but still with the boys, still
Yeah.
chatting, still being in the locker room, because it's hard to be a leader if you're in the corner.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah. You gotta be there sometime.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a crazy process. So is that the biggest thing that affected your routine, maybe, was the restrictions and the 20-minute wait time that you have?
So it's completely like kind of changed it up a little bit, a lot actually. It right now I don't know. I've been going into games pretty confident, and I haven't been able to do. I do the ball training when I'm at home, like 2 hours before, and then when I get
Okay.
there, I chill with the boys until we get to warm up, and yeah,
Yeah, that's
kind of
awesome.
loose now.
I just have two more questions for you, then I'll let you go. I won't take too much of your time. So, after a weird season like this, what are goals that you have? And obviously it's hard to find stability in sort of chaos, but what are some goals that you have in your mind that maybe you want to set out to get?
Um, Goals. Well, it's an interesting question. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Thank
Goals. Well, obviously, like I aspire to the highest level of hockey that I can get, and that's what I've always, done. If that happens, good for me. If not, life moves on, and I'll find other ways of, I'll play hockey at, either a Division 3 level, probably at the Division 3 level, and then, maybe like I'll find some other opportunities from there. But for now, I'm just, focused on. I don't try to think about that stuff too much. Just focus
Yeah.
on like the day to day, what I'm doing today to, be better for tomorrow, and then hopefully I put a
Yeah.
string
And
of
I
games together.
yeah, and I
To,
think that's honestly a goal for me. Is like a lot of people, my goal is to just go day to day and do the best I can every day, and things will happen hopefully. And that's honestly a really good approach as well, day to day. So yeah, last question. What piece of advice would you like to give yourself when you were starting off? If you could go back and just look at yourself and be like, hey, I got some things to
how
tell you.
far back do you want to go?
Maybe when you started getting serious about playing.
um,
It's a tough one too.
but yeah, um, put less stress on yourself. Um, you know, there's a process to everything. I used to be terrible at handling the puck. I could like barely shoot the puck off the ground when I was like 16, and like that's not good for a 16-year-old goalie. And I was like hard on myself because of that. But it's if I just if I was able to understand the process of just if I do every day for a month, every time I'm in practice, I'm shooting 50 pucks against the wall before or after, I will get there eventually, and
Mhm.
stop beating yourself up for minor mistakes that if you just put a plan in place to get better, then it'll come. So I was like super hard on super down on myself to a point where it was not healthy. So
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what.
that's a good one. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, we're definitely rooting for you, and we're gonna be cheering you on for sure wherever hockey takes you. But thanks so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate you taking some
Very
time,
much.
and
Done an excellent job interviewing. Some great questions.
thanks. Hopefully, I'm getting better at this thing 9 episodes in, but who
No,
knows?
you're great. You're great.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Well, yeah. Take care and good luck.
Thank you. All right.